All right. Let's see. Go to my chat. Oh, already, huh? Hey, it's my boy in Big Red. Y'all been here every time with me. So y'all got questions? Yeah, y'all got questions, or are you just here to watch me do math problems? What was that? Oh, it's choppy. Is my video choppy? I just got an error message. All right. What number? It's your boy. Geometry. That works. Am I choppy? Huh. All right. Clarification station. Day 3. Do you just need like the whole thing or what? Oh, you know what? It's not on this packet. Wonder why it's got that going on like that. Guys, I'm getting an error on my side, so you may get a little bit of buffering. If you do, I'm sorry. I'll try to figure this out next time, as this whole streaming thing is still new to me. Let me pull up. I've got to pull up the document of the clarification real quick. I think it's just my internet here at the house. Yeah, because my computer, it's a little laggy right now. No, it's just I got an error here, so I don't know why. Okay. Do you need? Let's see. Do you need the whole packet, or do you need just specific ones? Well, wow, my computer's slow. All right, so I'm just going to jump on, start at number 1, and move from there. There's really only 2 questions on that page that you're asking for. All right, so number 1, I give you a parallelogram. So we have a parallelogram right here. And on that parallelogram, I tell you that this is 3a, this is 21, this is 45, and then this is 2b plus 3, and then we have diagonals here, and I tell you that this is R, M, J, that's a capital M, not a lowercase m, K, and L. Okay. A says find the measure of, so let's say A. I want to know the measure of angle MJK. So I'm looking for MJK. I'm looking for this angle right there. Oh, okay. I also give you, I was like, wait, I'm missing something. 30 degrees here, and 70 degrees here. Okay, so we can do a couple different things. So MJK, MJK. So I want the whole angle. Well, my whole angle, if we remember from parallelograms, my opposite angles are going to be congruent. So it's just simply going to be 30 plus 70, which is going to be 100 degrees. So that one's pretty straightforward. B, asks for the measure of angle JKL. So JKL, well, if this is 100 and this is 100, we know consecutive angles have to be 180. So we're going to do 180 minus 100, which is going to give me 80 degrees. C asks for the measure of angle JML. So JML, well, if we already know JKL, if we already know this angle, it's going to be the same as this angle. So really, JKL, JKL, and JML, they're going to actually be the same thing because they're congruent, so that's 80 degrees. Then I ask you to find A. So D, I ask you to find A. So A right here. Well, in a parallelogram, these are congruent and these are congruent. And congruent leads to an algebra equation with equal signs. So I can say 3A equals 21. I divide by 3, and I get A equals 7. And then A, B, C, D. Oh, I missed D. This is actually E. Sorry. And then this is F. I actually asked you to find B. Same thing. These are congruent. Congruent leads to an equal sign. Just set them equal to each other. I want to get 2B plus 3 equals 45. Subtract 3. 2B equals 48. Divide by 2. I get B equals 24. Pretty straightforward problem. Go ahead.
45 minus 3 is 48.
Woo! Good catch. Wow. Story of my life. I can do math, I can't do arithmetic. 45 minus 3 is not 48. That is 42. Now we're going to divide it by 2. Now I'm second guessing myself. And B equals 21. Woo. Whoopsie. Oopsie poopsie. Everybody makes mistakes. Hopefully that answers your question right there. The second problem is pretty much the same. When you look at the properties, just remember congruent is going to lead to an equal sign like here and here because these are congruent. We also know that these bisect each other, so this leg and this leg, well, this segment and this segment are congruent, and this segment and this segment is congruent. That's really the number 2 part of it, is I'm giving you the inside and then some critical thinking questions. What other questions y'all got? Well, that erase is about nasty now.
D.
I skipped D. Yeah, I know I skipped D. Do they need D? Do you need D? I'll pull it back up. So D is JKL. Okay. So let me draw it again real quick for D. Really what we're going to need, JKL, I need this, just this diagonal here. This is JKL. This is 30. This is 70. Because this is a parallelogram, these opposite sides are parallel. It's in the name parallelogram. This diagonal here actually acts as a transversal, so it's a parallel line cut by a transversal. So if I want to come in here, so D asks for, let me just write it. D asks for the measure of angle KJL. So KJL. So I'm looking for this angle right here. Well, if we remember from the section where we did parallel lines cut by transversal, we know opposite angles are congruent. Opposite interior angles are congruent. So these two angles would be, this angle and this angle are congruent. They're the same. So since this is 30 degrees, this angle KJL has to be also 30 degrees. It's just a parallel line cut by transversal, opposite interior angles being congruent. Got to get a new eraser. Any more questions, guys? No, I don't have to yell. I have the gain set where I don't have to do that. Huh?
Clarification station, day 3, number 2.
Oh, you just, all right. Clarification station, day 2.
Day 3, number 2.
So you want me to do, okay. I just closed it out too. So I think that's where the error is coming from, is that. Yeah, the Kodacam. All right. So number 2. All right. So on number 2, I give you another parallelogram. And I have my diagonals in here. And this is 17.9. This is 2y plus 5. I have 3x minus 4. And I have 20. Here is 3z minus 3. This is 15.4. This is 4w minus 3. And then this is 11.1. Okay, let's knock these out. So it basically just asks for, let's see, A asks me to solve for x. So I'm going to find x. X is here. Because this is a parallelogram, I know my opposite sides are congruent. So congruent leads to an equal sign for an algebra equation. So from there, I'm just simply going to set up my equation. 3x minus 4 equals 20. Add 4 to both sides. 3x equals 24. Divide by 3. X equals, what, 8? So that one's pretty easy. So B asks for y. So I want to find y. Y is here. And once again, my opposite sides are congruent in a parallelogram. So I have congruent leads to the equal sign. I have 2y plus 5 equals 17.9. Subtract 5 from both sides. I have 2y equals 12.9. Divide by 2. Y should be, what is that, 6.45? I want to double check, but I'm pretty sure it's 6.45. 12.9 divided by 2. Yeah, 6.45. All right, C simply asks for Z. C asks for Z. I had a student I used to call CZ. C asks for Z. All right, so I'll find my z's. Key here is with the parallelograms, my diagonals are actually congruent. They bisect each other. So 5z minus 3 and 15 minus 4 are congruent. So congruent leads to the equal sign. From there, we're going to add my 3 to both sides. I got 2z equals 18.4. Divide by 2, z equals 9.2. This is a 2, not a z. If you notice my z's, I'll put lines in the middle of them. All right, and then last but not least was D. D asked to solve for W. Right here, these two are going to be congruent because the diagonals bisect each other. Congruent is going to lead to an equal sign. So I'm going to get 4w minus 3 equals 11.1. Add 3 to both sides. I have 4w equals 14.1. W equals 3.5. 3.5 something. Lost track in my head. 14.1 divided by 4. 3.525. And you're done. Spiral review. All right, let me erase. Now guys, while I'm erasing here, I just want to let you know that this is pretty much, I have this open to anybody that needs math help anywhere, not just here in my hometown. So I have offered this out to other friends as well in this time. So I may in the future be getting some college kids coming on here asking me some college questions. I have friends on Facebook that they have their kiddos in different cities that they may be on here asking me questions too. So just kind of be aware of that. Which one is it?
Spiral review, day 3, number 3.
Spiral review, day geometry. Day 3, number 3. Day 3. Day 2, spiral. Is it the one that says the measure of angle 3 equals 67 degrees? Because the packet I have has 2 different days on it, which is weird because there's 2 different problems. Is it the one with the picture or the one with just asking about supplemental angle? Oh, he's mad. Coda's over there like yelling at my wife because she slightly moved and disturbed his sleep. Coda, you have to speak up if you want them to hear you, because this is a cordial microphone. I think it's the one with the picture is the one you're thinking about.
This is spiral review, day 3, number 3.
Okay, so I'm going to go off the title because you guys know I kind of name everything by the titles.
It's the one with the isosceles trapezoid.
The isosceles trapezoid?
The spiral review.
Uh-huh.
Day 3, number 3. Geometry.
I gotcha. Because the document I'm looking at for day 3, the spiral review, the way it's named, there is no isosceles trapezoid. Is it day 3 review? Because I bet that one has an isosceles trapezoid on there.
I said spiral review.
I know what you said.
Okay.
I'm just trying, when they say isosceles trapezoid, I'm just trying to figure out which problem it is. Man, you gotta get mad at me.
Because sometimes you don't listen.
See, all right, so number 3 on this one is the isosceles trapezoid. So I'm going to draw it up, and I want to wait for you to tell me if this is the right problem before I start working. So I think the problem you're looking at is this isosceles trapezoid problem, where we have A, we have the mid segment here, which is E, we have D, C, F, and B. This is 38. This is 7x minus 4 and 6x minus 6. So I'm going to wait for you to respond and tell me if this is the question you actually have.
Got it from the other teacher.
Okay, that's fine. I think this is the problem. If I was a betting person, because they tell me this is an isosceles trapezoid problem. So I know it's got a delay.
Let's forget my water.
Man, I could have already solved this problem by the time that delay catches. Man, Coda is just asleep over there.
That's the one.
Perfect. All right. So let's see. It says find the value of x given EF is a mid segment. So they tell me that EF is the mid segment. So I already know I have a formula. EF equals 1/2 of AB plus DC. All right, so that's the formula. So now all I have to do is plug everything in that I know. I know EF is 7x minus 4. So I have 7x minus 4 equals my 1/2. AB right here is 38 plus DC is 6x minus 6. From here, I'm just going to solve for x. My setup is done. The geometry part is done. I'm just going to solve for x. So I'm right here, I'm going to work my parentheses first, and I'm going to go ahead and combine like terms. So I have 7x minus 4 equals 1/2. This becomes 6x. That becomes plus 32. I'm going to distribute this 1/2 right here because it goes perfectly into 6 and 32. So I now have 7x minus 4 equals, well, half of 6 is 3x, and half of 32 is 16. I'm going to put all my x's on one side and all my constants on the other. So I'm going to subtract 3x and add 4. Subtract 3x and add 4. And this is going to give me 4x equals 20. Divide by 4. X equals 5. Done. Easy peasy. What I would have like to do on this also is after you find x, plug it in. Tell me what EF is. So once I know x, I can actually find EF. So this isn't part of the question. This is just something I would add on top of this. Is I would say find EF. So then you have to go back and use your algebra answer to solve an geometry question. And that's just simply plugging things in. It would be 7 times 5 minus 4, which gives me 35 minus 4, which gives me 31. So that would be the actual length of EF. What other questions, guys? Good question. That's a good problem. I like that problem. Good job, Fitz. Yeah, I'm not getting the error anymore. I think it was just the Kodacam was the one messing up.
Quadrilateral day 3, number 3.
Quadrilateral day 3, number 3. Yeah. Quadrilaterals. Quadrilateral day 3, number 3. I think this is what they mean. All right, so if I'm right, this is the type of problem that it has. And then we've got 1 here, 2, 3. This is line M, line N, line S, line R, and then number 3. So for number 3, they have the measure of angle 1 equals 3x minus 7, and the measure of angle 2 is 2x minus 13. And then it says what value of x would make lines M and N be parallel. All right, so we want to find what lines make M and N parallel. So I need to know relationships about a parallel line cut by a transversal. So in reality, this picture is way more confusing for this problem. What I would actually have you guys do is put your hand over it or just erase what you don't need. You don't need any of this stuff right here. You don't need that. We just simply have parallel lines cut by a transversal. Everything else is just there to confuse you. We want to know what values of x is going to make these parallel. So we're going to look at 1 and 2. So angle 1 and angle 2, they are not congruent angles, but they're same side interior angles. Same side interior angles of a parallel lines being cut by transversal are supplementary. So what that means is when I add these two angles together, they have to equal 180 degrees. So I know if it is truly parallel, the measure of angle 1 plus the measure of angle 2 is going to be 180 degrees. From here, I just plug everything in that I have. I have 3x minus 7 plus 2x minus 13. I'm going to put these parentheses around. I'm going to explain why here in a second. All right. So now all I did was the measure of angle 1, 3x minus 7, I just put it in there. The measure of angle 2, 2x minus 13, I just plugged it in there. I use parentheses because if for some reason in algebra, if this is a minus, you need to make sure you distribute that minus all the way through. So I have a habit of always putting parentheses around and then check to make sure I'm not going to mess up any of my signs with the minus in front. So that's just a habit that I have to kind of not drop signs, because everybody drops signs. It's part of math. So because this is a plus and this is positive here, I can just get rid of my parentheses now, and I have 3x minus 7 plus 2x minus 13 equals 180. Now this is just combine like terms and solve for x. So 2x and 3x gives me 5x. Negative 7 minus 13 gives me a negative 20 equals 180. Add 20 to both sides. This gives me 5x equals 200. Divide by 5. X equals 40. Done.
So somebody else said they don't understand. Question 1, a spiral day 3 review of day 2.
Okay. Now that I process that, question 1, a spiral of day 2 on day 3.
No. Question 1, a spiral of day 3 review of day 2.
Okay. I know what you're talking about. Okay, so that's not going. I don't know what they did on this. They didn't put all my information in this packet. Hey, so guys, for next week, I'm sure that you've already seen the release from Wendy's Sled. We're going to be out. I'm putting together a packet for geometry. It'll be a lot more. It'll be a lot clearer than this one, because this is kind of like it was a rush job to kind of get done. Because when we were up at the high school, we had limited time. We were allowed to be there. Because we had to leave and try to do everything from home and try to coordinate everything via text message. And I'm not a kid, not the easiest thing to do. Okay, so day 3, spiral for day 2.
Question 1 of day 3 review of day 2.
Yeah, I got it. I got it.
Make it sure.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's for.
Yeah, it's got. I'm sure it's for geometry, because I didn't name anything like that, and I try to stay consistent with my names across the board.
Oh.
Show that the quadrilateral is a trapezoid. Number 1, right?
Question 1, yes.
Okay. So I'm going to work, there's 1A and 1B. I'm just going to work one of them and let you do the other one to practice. I'm going to do 1A. So in this problem, it gives you points. So 1A, it's going to give you points of A is 0, 3. B is 5, 4. C, which is 9, 1. And D, which is -1, -1. Okay. Now, it wants us to show that this quadrilateral is going to be a trapezoid. So the first thing I like to do on this, because it's hard for me to visualize what's going on with just points, is just to do a rough sketch. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to put the little tick marks in here and everything else. Just be in the right area. So I have a 0 on the X and 3 on the Y. So that's going to be A. We're going to call that 0, 3. I want to base everything off of that. All right, so then I've got 5 on the X, 4 on the Y. So that's got to be a little above that A. So there's B. And then I have 9. Well, this is 5. 9's got to be over here somewhere. 1, not quite on the X-axis, is C. And then D is -1, -1. And that's D. So here's my quadrilateral. I need to see if it's a trapezoid. Okay, so it kind of looks like a trapezoid, but we can't trust our eyes. We've got to trust the math. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check the slopes. For it to be a trapezoid, it can only have exactly one side, one pair of opposite sides be parallel. So because then it's something else if that requirement isn't met. So I need to find the slope of AB. I need to find the slope of DC. I'm doing AB and DC because those are opposite. And then I'll have to find the slope of AD and the slope of BC. So that's how I paired them up. So really what I'm going to look for is if these two are the same slope, they're parallel. If these two are not the same slope, then it makes a trapezoid because of that criteria. Or vice versa, if these two are parallel and these are not parallel, then it's a trapezoid. So let's just do this. It's just a slope formula. My slope formula, if you remember, is y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. So let's do each one of these. So the slope, well, I'm horrible at my notation here. The slope of AB. So AB. So let's do 4 minus 3. 4 minus 3 over 5 minus 0. 5 minus 0. This gives me 1/5. That's easy enough. All right, so now let's check DC, my slope. So now we're going to do DC. So let's do -1 minus 1 minus 1, -1 minus 1 over -1 minus 9. -1 minus 9 gives me a -2 over 10, which reduces to -10, which reduces to 1/5. So I know that those are parallel. So far so good. So now I just check these two. As long as they're not parallel, I have a trapezoid. If they're parallel, I actually have a parallelogram. All right, so let's look. AD. So my slope of AD over -1 minus 0. So -1 minus 3. This gives me -4 over -1, which just gives me 4. And then the slope of BC. So let's see. 1 minus 4 over 9 minus 5. This gives me -3 over 4. These are not the same, so these are not parallel. So because AB and DC are parallel, those segments are parallel, and AD and BC are not parallel, that's what makes this an actual trapezoid. So I can actually say it's a trapezoid. You'd have to write that up. I prefer you to write it in a complete sentence with your explanation, but this is the math behind it. Anything else? Well, that's a quick 35 minutes. You know how nice it is that there's like, I can just get here and answer questions, that I don't have to do paperwork with it or anything like that. I know that's like the necessary evil of teaching, but I just love doing this.
Anybody likes it?
I'm sure there's somebody in this world that likes doing paperwork.
I used to get in trouble for working my.
Man. At least on this break, I can catch up on all my other paperwork. Also, I will take a break. Now that so those of y'all that are listening right now, because we are extended out a couple of weeks, I have to put myself on a schedule, or I will work 18 hours a day, because this part's not actually work for me. So I'm going to be posting in Schoology the times which I'm going to be on answering questions and things like this. On a personal note, because I'm doing this for fun, because I'm just bored, I'm going to be still doing live streams on this, and I think I'm just going to keep the same times, 1 and 5, Monday through Thursday, and then Friday I'm just going to do one of them, just because it's fun, passes the time. There's nothing on TV during this time anyway, and I'm so used to being at school, I don't want to get wrapped up in a soap opera.
What time you go Friday?
Just at 1. That's fine. Cool. I'll moderate myself. Cool. I can ask Coda, but yeah, he's asleep over there. All right. Well, if they're not asking questions yet, it's your boy said he'll be right. I'll be back next time. I'm just going to work a problem. So this time I was prepared. I actually have some problems that I can just work just for fun. All right, so I'm going to solve x squared plus 5x minus 7 is less than 4x. So if you're watching, you're in geometry, this is an algebra 2 type problem. It's a quadratic inequality. Good little skills, bunch of little skills in here that are to have. So I'm just going to kind of work it. So the first thing we're going to do, if you watched the last live stream, I was talking about Dr. Lowe's method to solve a quadratic. I may use that here, or I may just use one of the other techniques. But I did say that you always have to have a quadratic set equal to 0. In this case, I'm going to ignore this less than symbol for right now. And I'm just going to change it to an equal sign. And I'm going to have x squared plus 5x minus 7 equals 4x. I'm then going to get everything set to one side by subtracting 4x from both sides. And I have x squared plus x minus 7 equals 0. Now from here, I can already see this is not going to factor, because my only factors of -7 would be a +1, -7, +1. So let's do Dr. Lowe's method. These numbers are low and these numbers are small. So here we go. Let's do my sum is going to be -b. So I've got -1. My product is the -7. I'm going to take half of my sum. So I'm going to have -1/2 plus some number, -1/2 minus some number equals -7. I'm going to FOIL this out, and I'm going to get 1/4 minus u squared equals -7. I'm going to add 1/4 to each side, so I got -u squared equals -7 plus, not add, subtract 1/4. 7 times 4 to create my common denominator. 7 14 is 28. Make sure I have my minus in there with my 4 minus 1/4. So I have -u squared equals -29. Ooh, that is not 29, that's 92. 29 over 4. Get rid of my negatives by dividing by negative, and I have u squared equals 29 over 4. Take the square root of it, and I have u equals the square root of 29 over 2. So plug that back in, and I'm going to get an answer of, I've got a negative 1. Let me just write it out so y'all can see what I'm doing instead of doing it in my head. Negative 1 plus or minus, because the plus and minus, the square root of 29 over 2. Don't have to write it like this, and I have negative 1 plus or minus the square root of 29 over 2. There's my answer if it would equal 0. Now, with this, I inherently don't know what numbers they are. So I'm going to actually plug these in and get a number, because I'm going to have to do a thing what's called a inequality test. I know I have 2 numbers in here, so let me pop this into a calculator real quick. Negative 1 plus the square root of 29 divided by 2. So I have the plus 1 is 2.2-ish. And then the minus, negative 1 minus square root of 29 divided by 2. And the minus 1 is negative 3.19. Okay, or negative 3.2. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put these numbers on a number line to give me a reference base, 2.2 and negative 3.2. I want to pick a number smaller than negative 3. I want to say negative 5. I want to pick a number between these. I want to pick 0. And I want to pick a number greater than 2 that's easy to do math with, and I'm going to say 5. What I'm going to do at this point is I just simply plug it back in here and look for a true-false statement. So let me do 0 real quick. I can do that fast. 0 and 0, add 0. Negative 7 is less than 0. This works. The 5s, the math should pretty much work out close to being the same. So I'm going to have 25 minus 25 is 0. Negative 7 is less than negative 20. This does not work. 5, this gives me 25 plus 25 is 50. Minus 43. 43 is less than 20. That does not work. So the actual answers, because there is no equal to on there in interval notation, would be negative 1 minus the square root of 29 over 2, comma, negative 1 plus the square root of 29 over 2. And I'm done. Pretty easy problem. What's up? Somebody ask a question? No? Huh? We're the only 2 left? Everybody bounced? Give me a second, let me see where I was about to actually close down the stream. Oh, what the heck am I doing on my computer? I'm an idiot. Wait, escape. Back. Uh-oh. Does anybody ask a question? Good, because I messed up my computer somehow. There we go. Well, I don't know how I'm... Like, it went full screen, and for some reason I couldn't get it out of full screen. So guys in the chat, any questions?
We're the last 2 again.
Huh? We're the last 2 again? Alright. Well, I'm going to end my stream then, a little early. And I'm going to start working, finishing up what I need to send into my work for you guys to have something to do next week.
Say bye, Coda.
Say bye, Coda.
Bye.